Hello, in this video I'm going to talk a little bit about Stanton's The Declaration of Sentiments and Resolutions from the Seneca Falls Convention. And in this argument, we'll see a lot of similarities to Jefferson's argument in the Declaration of Independence. And that starts with the delayed claim that we see. So if you go down to this would be the third page of the Declaration, and um, to the top of that third page, we see the claim, and that is that we insist that they, meaning women, have immediate admission to all the rights and privileges which belong to them as citizens of the United States. So that is the key argument, that women should be able to be full citizens in the United States. And the reasoning for this is summed up as part of this claim. So if you've written thesis statements in which you've listed your points before, we see that Stanton does something similar here, listing her points before her claim. She says, now in view of this entire disenfranchisement of one half of the people of this country, their social and religious degradation, in view of the unjust laws above mentioned, and because women do feel themselves aggrieved, oppressed, and fraudulently deprived of their most sacred rights. This is why they should gain immediate admission. And like Jefferson, the reasoning is also up above, similar reasoning, that we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men and women are created equal, and so on. And notice that Stanton has changed the wording to include women because women had been excluded in the past. And so this expands the reasoning to include not just men, but also women. And part of the reason that she added in women instead of just using men to mean a universal term is because in arguments, equivocation had been used. And what that means is that in arguments, people were saying that, well, women are protected because men refers to everyone, but then in application, they weren't applying all of the laws equally to women. And so including women was important there. So just like with men in the Declaration of Independence, the reasoning is that they have the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And to secure these rights, governments are instituted and can be overthrown if they don't support those rights. And just like with Jefferson, once again, we have the rebuttal of an opposing view, prudence indeed. So again, saying that a government shouldn't be changed for just any reason. It must be necessary to change it. And then again, like Jefferson, we see a list of evidence. So we see all of these ways that women have been abused by men, the he meaning men in general, not meaning that all men were guilty, but that the history of mankind has been these injuries. And so, like with Jefferson, we have this appeal to logos in this structure with the claim, reasoning, evidence, and rebuttal. We also see that the logos also appeals to pathos, because the women, especially the women at the Seneca Falls Convention who believe in what's being argued, will feel strongly about these things that have been happening. Of course, unlike the Declaration of Independence, we have more disagreement, even with women who were outside of the convention who didn't agree that these were abuses or didn't agree with everything. In particular, a lot of women didn't believe that women should have the right to vote because they felt their husbands were voting on their behalf. Looking at this, again, same appeals to pathos. We also have appeals to kairos because of the time that we have the convention. The kairos is different than Jefferson's because with Jefferson there was a war going on, of course, and with Stanton, this was just the start of a long women's movement, or really not the start, but the official start of what had already been going on, trying to make it actually have more of an impact. So with Kairos, of course, we also have the sense that we have these resolutions, these different things that are that need to be happening in order to fight the oppression of women. In terms of ethos, Stanton used Jefferson's model to try to build her own ethos and her own credibility and make people realize that if you accept Jefferson and his argument, you accept that we should have been able to break free of Britain in order to support our own rights, that then you should accept that this is a logical argument for the rights of women as well. And so while today we might say that's plagiarism, that wouldn't be the concern at the time. At the time, it was more about showing that she was educated, she was aware of the Declaration of Independence, and she was using Jefferson's authority in that argument as well. And then, of course, with this argument, with the audience awareness, we don't have as clear of a sense that it was effective as Jefferson's argument. But again, it was meant to get the fire started, to really help people see that women had rights that needed to be recognized and that things needed to change. And of course, it took another 75 years for women to get the right to vote. There's debate about how many of these rights women have now, but still an important argument. I hope this helps you understand Stanton. Let me know if you have any remaining questions.